I wanted to ask this. Why did Joe post the photo of you? Where did he get it? And what do you think he was trying to say? I thought that he was fat shaming you. I thought I was going to walk in here and see a very obese man. They don't know that I walked right past you in the lobby.
Yeah.
In my brain, Danny was going to be a large, fat man.
Yeah. No, what it was is we were on Twitter Spaces, right? And they were doing like, I think Twitter, I'm in the Twitter space war right now, but so basically they were doing this like game where they were publishing pictures of people, but people who agreed. So it would be like men would publish their picture and the woman would rate it. So then Joe's like, why don't we rate Danny? Because I was on stage. Joe loves being with me in the spaces. Like he's there all the time talking to me. Like it's interesting talking to Joe for long periods of time because like how do people do it? Like it's like the way he spins narratives. So there have been people who have known what I look like for quite some time. There's people on the Reddit, that loser subreddit that exists for the Joe Budden podcast. Don't follow that one. Go to the Joe Budden Network Reddit. But they basically found out what I look like because my YouTube channel used to be my private channel, like my channel that not private. And I used to have clips of me like when I was in college. So I think they found that through that. And Joe gets that somebody from Reddit DMs him and he publishes my picture. Yeah. And that was from like 2009. I was like a baby-faced, Mighty Duck Goldberg-looking kid.
One thing I don't understand is like, how do you record a bunch of podcasts talking to these people every week and then go home and get on Twitter Spaces for hours and hours and hours? This has just never really made sense to me. Sometimes when it comes to doing the podcasts, I feel kind of drained from talking to so many people all the time. And I feel like if I just only had to do one podcast a week or two podcasts a week, I would have so much more energy reserves built up. But that's why I've never even been tempted to go on Clubhouse. And when I see them on the Twitter Spaces, I'm like, so you're telling me you have a business where you all make money, including people who aren't on camera. You all are earning money from this. And then you go home and in your spare time, you do the exact same thing into your phone for free. I don't get it. But that's just me.
Well, he's always kind of been like that. He's always done Clubhouses. He's done Reddit Talks. I don't know if you remember Reddit Talks. They were like Reddit's Clubhouse. He's been on them for hours. He's on Discords. He's always, that's kind of why, in some ways, he's the podfather because he does that. Like Gideon, Wallow, other folks like Nori, I don't think they're doing that. And he's actively getting feedback from the fans. And I think while it is like, whoa, why are you doing this? You look crazy. It could also be a sign of how much of a genius he is for doing that.
I think of it, and I might be wrong because I realize that some people don't think of it like this, but I think of it like if I was a professional bodybuilder. You work out.
Yeah.
But you don't like then go home and just work out a bunch more. Like the bodybuilder works out like a couple hours a day, really intense, like maybe an hour a day. And then you go and you nourish yourself. You take care of yourself. You eat good. You might do a little bit of cardio or whatever, but you spend the rest of the day taking care of yourself to prepare for your next workout. So that's how I think of it, is like when I go home from this, I'm watching content. I'm trying to learn. I'm watching shit on Netflix. I'm like doing whatever I feel is the most advantageous to me to be able to get back in the gym and do a great job. I don't feel like I'm getting better when I'm sitting there having a conversation with fans on an audio app. I actually don't even know what that would be like because I've never done it.
It's hella toxic, but I would say that in your bodybuilder analogy, like the Pumping Iron documentary, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the greatest dude, right? But in his spare time, he would bully Lou Ferrigno, right? Like he would just to make sure that he knew like to bully other people. And I think for the crazy ones that really take it serious, it manifests in certain ways. And I think it manifests in different ways for you. I'm not as familiar with what you do in your spare time. Like maybe you do something that looks weird to Joe and this looks weird to you.
Well, I find also that when I'm living more of a normal life, like when I'm in Brooklyn back in the day, I used to just...
Williamsburg, shout out.
Shout out Williamsburg. I used to just be riding my bike all the time, hanging out with people, infinite, talking all day about anything. All you do in New York, or my lifestyle that I was living, we're just riding around talking to each other all fucking day. You start talking to some random girl at the park. You're talking to some random dude who's selling candy, whatever. I mean, it's just like
drugs.
You just talk all day. And like, I guess I have kind of like lost sight of having that much of a reserve of conversation. But I don't know. I think that the way I'm thinking of it makes a little bit more sense to me. I like to be somewhat efficient with my words.
Yeah, he spends he's on there for like I would say like almost 3 hours a night sometimes.
Jesus Christ.
Like crazy amounts.
To me, that's almost like a sickness that you require so much feedback and you're so in need of connection and you're apparently not getting enough of it from your friends and your romantic relationships that you like have to kind of constantly, like, I don't know how much of attention you paid to Lush, but that was ultimately what kind of
I like Lush.
caused a lot of our breakup at a certain point. I feel like is that it was just like he needed too much affirmation from the fans and from other people, and it led to him being a leaky ship on Reddit and Discord and whatnot.
I've always wondered like how it's tough with podcasting because you're like talking to people for hours and hours and you're not really their friend, right? Like I don't know if you feel like the people you do podcasts with are your friends. So I'm just going back by what you hint. I think you may have hinted at like the loneliness or something like that. Maybe that's a way of having authentic conversation. But I'm not here to psychoanalyze. Yeah.
No, but I feel like that is an underrepresented part of like the sacrifice of being a podcaster is that if I spend my day having 8 hours worth of conversations with people that I don't really have a real relationship with, or that, you know, I'm really just talking to them for content, you become very, very good at having these superficial relationships. Meanwhile, like you just don't spend nearly as much time leaning into your real relationships. And it just kind of affects everybody a little bit. And I see people that I know who will go out to dinner with their friends when they're in town. And my brain never fucking works that way because I think, let's do a podcast when you're in town.
That's heartbreaking.
It's fucked up, right?
Yeah.
But it ends up kind of fucking with you. Like I just like, I've been friends with Vlad for all these years. I never like been out to dinner with Vlad. I probably should. It's like good human shit to do. But normally when we talk, it's content.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough place to be in, but I kind of maybe see that happening to me where I think about something totally different because I have a YouTube channel now. You know, like I think about, I got to make a video about this. Something's happening, you know, and I see that happen. I can see why it happens. It's your job. It's your livelihood. And it's also a part of you forever.